Hello and welcome to another episode of Standard Killer Projects. Today we're going to replace the mass airflow sensor, or the MAF, on the Chevy Equinox. There's a really important reason why we're changing this out. This is a bit of a long story. I'm trying to make it as short as possible. But before I do, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so my wife's car was having a stutter at about 40 miles an hour. What I mean by stutter is when you'd step on the gas, it would go up, 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 and then go. She asked me to take a look at it. I drove it around the block, and when I did it, it was stumbling at a lot more places, especially if you got into the gas at all, and the traction control would turn itself off. I feared that the traction control system needed to be reprogrammed, so I hate taking cars to the dealership. We took it to the dealership. They put some meters on it and said, "Oh, you probably have a bad cylinder. We need to compression check it." Well, I wouldn't have let them compression check it, but if the motor had been bad, and I actually knew a guy that had his motor scattered on one of these at about 60,000 miles. So I said, sure, go ahead and compression check it, even though I could do it at the house. If we do it here and the motor's bad, my wife's just going to trade it in and buy something else. So they did the check. Took them over a week to do it. They did the check and said, no, you have a misfire. And I said, okay, we have a misfire. What's the code? And they said, oh, we don't know, which is insane. So I said, give me the car back. I brought the car back. It barely drove. You get it above 15 miles an hour, it stutter. It would stutter all the way through to about 40 miles an hour, and then it would drive normally. So when I put it on my OBD2, it said that there was a code 300. 300 in this particular case is a misfire on random cylinders, not just one cylinder. So that basically rules out the injectors being bad or the coils being bad. There could be some sort of wiring issue throughout, but the next and simplest things to look at would be the mass airflow sensor and the throttle body. So right now we're just going to change out the mass airflow sensor. Interestingly, the dealership, after charging us an outrageous amount of money to do a compression check, then wanted to charge us almost the exact same amount to diagnose it, and that's part of the reason why I said no way. So here we are. Mass airflow sensor costs all of about 50 bucks. I'd much rather throw parts at it than give them hundreds and hundreds of dollars to guesstimate. So let me show you how to change out this sensor. As I've mentioned many times in the past, I don't particularly like newer plasticky cars, and I'll show you exactly why. To get this out, I need to be really, really careful and put pressure on this mechanism, this little red bit, and push it up. Okay, so now that it's up, see, which I was afraid I would break. I was very, very gentle with it. There is a little red clip that's normally down in here. So how do I get that off? Well, this back part lifts. So I lifted it and it snapped off. So that black piece is actually just sitting in there for show, and there actually should be a little red piece down in there. If you wanted to take it off the way it's supposed to be done, you put a screwdriver into the back of it here and lift off of the mechanism in the back, and then this whole assembly comes off, the top and the bottom part, and it just wiggles. There's a little detent on the inside of here. But here's the interesting part to me. This little clip broke right off. The little tab on the inside of it, which would be a little bit further down in there, also broke off. It's quality plastic engineering. I don't like all this plastic crap on cars. They break all the time. If I were to try and replace this, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So I don't really want to bother with it. I'm going to put it back on and see if the car drives. So we're here replacing this guy right here. To remove the mass airflow sensor, you need to take out two little screws on the top and bottom. They're T15 Torx bits. Make sure you set those inside and don't lose them. They're easy to drop. Once those are out, you literally just grab the connector, remove the mass airflow sensor. Alright, so while we're putting this new one back in, let's talk about a couple of things. Plastic, by the way it's designed, is not made to be in an area that goes from extreme hots to extreme colds. The type of plastics that are much more expensive than regular just nylon plastic, which is what they use on everything in cars. That's part of the reason why these clips break. So be very careful what you do. I was trying to be very careful and not make any mistakes on anything, and it snapped anyway. If you'd like the direct GM replacement part number for this mass airflow sensor, it is 23262344, and that's also the AC Delco number. Okay, so when replacing the connector, when you put this down over it, it should go all the way in and you'd hear a click. There's not gonna be a click on mine because mine is broken. Then this little guy right here would push down, it would make a click. It is now as far down as it'll go, and there's no click because there's no mechanism actually holding it in place. So for my lucky situation, I'm gonna end up having to put some tape on this to make sure that the sensor stays in place, and then I'm gonna test drive it. The test drive may conclude with the car no longer stuttering. I'm not 100% sure this is the cause of the issue with the car. So if that is not it, the other thing to look for is loose or broken wires, possible intake line, breakage, air leak, and the throttle position sensor is another thing that causes it, but the throttle position sensor on this vehicle is actually incorporated into the throttle body. So if in the event that the car doesn't do that, doesn't run properly, the throttle body will probably be the next thing I end up tearing into on this car. So that's how you place the mass airflow sensor on a Chevy Equinox, one of the later model ones, I believe 2018 and above. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comments and we'll get back to you as quick as we can. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and make sure to keep watching, and we'll keep making more videos. Thanks.